Hello everyone and welcome back to Animation Pilgrimage, the show where Tennille and I take a look at every single theatrically released animated film in chronological order. I'm Whitney.
I'm Tennille.
And today we are at the final movie, second to last, no I'm kidding. The final movie of
Just
1981.
Go ahead, put your foot in your mouth right now because you know at some point there's going to be a video after this in the playlist because somebody's going to find another 1981 movie.
Welcome to another 1981 movie. We are watching Robot King from South Korea.
Yes.
And this was given to us by Anonymous. Thank you so much, you person who gave us this movie. You know who you are.
Thank you so much.
And you prefer to not be known, and that is A-okay.
Yeah. For starters, thank you everyone who gives us Animation Pilgrimage movies. Just cannot thank you guys enough. Secondly, thank you, Anonymous, for giving us some bonus context on these films.
Yes.
You didn't just send this one, you sent us a handful of stuff, so that's great.
They sent like 10 movies by this same studio.
Yeah.
And all of the terrible, terrible dubs.
Wow.
A little bit of context behind this one. Just, this was dubbed by the same person, or same 5 people that did Johnny Destiny Space Ranger. So we get the same voice actors and actresses back, and they're just as bad as they were in that movie.
Brought us classic lines like, "No, be reasonable."
Yup.
I recognized, like, all these people.
Oh, yeah.
Immediately.
Yeah, it's like as soon as someone started talking, it's like, oh, it's this person doing this voice again. Yes, I recognize this.
If you guys want peak bad dubbing,
Look up these movies.
look up these movies. They are pretty hilarious.
Like,
it was honestly a pretty great time, even though it is
mind-rottingly boring.
Yeah, this is not good, but man, was it fun.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, how about we do some plot of The Robot King?
Yes.
So 3 children all have the same dream. Some space lady tells them that her planet was destroyed by some big evil, and she created a special robot who you could say is the king of all robots, or the Robot King.
You could. I don't know if you'd give him that title, though.
Yeah. She sends it to Earth so that these kids can pilot it and protect their planet from this evil that will probably come to Earth. Spoiler.
And they spend a good portion of the movie not using it for some reason.
Well, of course, because humans are dumb. It doesn't really matter. Anyways, they have a robot now, and now they're a Sentai team. It is... We're 5 minutes into this movie.
Yeah, no, the whole setup takes place in like 5 minutes. Like all this exposition about there being a lady who made a robot and there's a bad guy who wants to destroy the place. Like that's
literally all just
exposited.
happened.
I think we've talked about it longer than the movie has.
Yeah. Did you want to know about this team of children? Too bad. There's the leader boy, the girl, and then the small smarmy kid, I guess, maybe.
Isn't it literally like...
He's also...
Mark, Jane, and Ben?
That doesn't sound correct, but they're very...
I'm pretty sure I can't remember the main character's name, but I think it's like... I know it's Jane and Ben. Ben is the little kid, and Jane is the girl. I cannot remember anybody else's names.
That's fine. Anyways, they have a robot now. Hey, wouldn't you
It
know
has a moon on its head.
Yeah, and it looks perpetually depressed.
So we should say right away, too, that this is a rip-off film.
Yes. This is another South Korean rip-off film because South Korea put a ban on Japanese content in like the 40s or 50s.
1945.
Yeah.
There was a ban on Japanese imported media. So instead, what South Korea did is made a whole bunch of knockoffs of that media, which is why we get things like this, which...
Copyright? What's that?
The main robot in this film is basically a direct ripoff of, let's see, what was it? GR2 from Giant Robo / Johnny Sacco and his flying robot, which was like an antagonistic robot in that show, but in this one it's like the good robot.
It also looks so dumb.
Tell it's supposed to be a bad guy robot.
Because it's black.
Yeah, it's got like a very dark design. It does not scream heroic.
Hero robot.
Yeah.
Anyways, the bad guy comes, and the bad guy is a semi-invisible kaiju monster that looks like it's directly out of like an actual Godzilla film.
It is actually a kind of combo ripoff of a lot of things. It's definitely like a kaiju of sorts. But it's also pretty similar looking to Ultraman and kind of similar to Monster from the Id from Forbidden Planet.
Again, not actual Ultraman, but like one of the monsters from Ultraman.
Yes. Again, thank you for Anonymous for giving us some of the background clues to this, because while I would be able to recognize that these things are a ripoff from something, I would not know exactly what that something was, so thank you again.
Alright, invisible kaiju's running around destroying stuff. He's also teamed up with an evil scientist that the dub says is from Earth, but now he's got blue skin. Whatever, he's evil, doesn't matter. They're destroying stuff, so the kids come in with a robot and they fight another robot. Hey, they win, cool. And then the bad guys decide they're gonna send this elf lady in with a bunch of robot rats into the main people's base.
You'll never guess what the narrative purpose of this elf lady is.
Wow,
Based on like the handful, I can't even say handful, the dozen movies we've seen of this genre.
You'll never
There's
guess.
an evil hot lady on the bad guy team. What do you think's gonna happen?
Make your guesses now. Edit your comments once the video's over. So, evil elf lady attacks with a bunch of robot rats. The third kid apparently is a super scientist, and he invents some sort of Sherlock Holmes cat robot, and it eats all the rats and then poops out the bits.
Can we talk about the revelation we had during this bit?
Okay, here on Animation Pilgrimage.
the context, please.
Here on Animation Pilgrimage, there's so many times over the course of this that we watch things, and you just know
someone on the animation team has an inflation kink.
Has an inflation kink because characters just grow.
It happens all the time.
It happens a lot.
It happens all the time.
It just
so
keeps
this
happening.
cat came in, and it has this suction, like it's sucking up all these rats.
And we're like, oh no, the cat is going to get really large. And then it didn't. Instead, it just like ground up the mice and then shot it out of its butt.
And I literally turned to you and I'm like, is it bad that I thought the cat was going to inflate? And you were like, me too.
And then it didn't.
I'm like, I'm kind of thankful it's instead just like a shit joke.
It's like, wow, where have we gone on this journey? That we're like, we see something and we're like, oh, this is going to be a kink. And then we're surprised when it isn't.
When it isn't.
Oh, God.
Anyway, this kid did make these cats in like a matter of seconds somehow.
Yeah, because they're invading in the middle of the night at 4 a.m. And then they talk, like, he walks down the hall and talks with the other kids, and he's like, I've invented this cat. And I'm like, when did you do that? And then the very next scene, there are cats everywhere. Like, kids, amazing, apparently. Anyways, the main character fights the elf girl and reveals her face, and then she runs away.
To which then our main character is like, I don't know, she didn't seem so bad. Like, literally, I'm not even exaggerating. She's coming in here trying to kill all of them. They fight and tussle. He sees that she's hot. She gets away, basically screaming, F you. And they're like, wow, what a bad lady. And he's like, I don't know, she seemed nice.
So now the bad guys have a different giant robot, and they fight. And the girl is piloting the robot, but then after trying to kill them for like 5 minutes, she defects and leaves and destroys the robot on the inside, allowing the good guys to win. And then they find her on the beach, and we have a space warrior Baldios scene of the main guy carrying her unconscious body across the beach, and I'm just like, we just watched this movie this year. You can't do this to me, South Korea.
Honestly, I'm already mixing a lot of these films up because they are the exact same movie with a lot of really bland characters.
Uh-huh. Anyways, now the good guys are attacking the bad guy base, and the giant robot fights the invisible kaiju monster, and then they chop its head off with the crescent moon on the top of the robot's head.
The movie should have ended with the beach scene.
Well, yeah, but the bad guys aren't dead, Tennille.
I know, but like, that was where, pacing-wise, it felt like that was where the movie should end.
Yeah, because that's where Space Warrior Baldios ended.
The last 20 minutes of this movie is essentially an extended fight climax, and I'm just like, no, see, you already, like, everything was already all wrapped up for me, even though nothing was resolved. But it was just like, this last 20 minutes, and this is only an hour-long film.
Yeah.
Like, these last 20 minutes feel so unnecessary.
So while the robot's doing that, the elf girl, and another random Joe Schmo have invaded the base itself, and they need to turn off the Doomsday rocket that they're going to shoot into the core of the planet to explode it. Never heard that plot before. I can't tell you what other movies it was in, but it was in at least one other movie we've watched.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Elf girl and main hero are hitting it off.
Sure. And then the evil scientist man grabs her, and then she pulls him into the lava, and she dies. Wow,
Dude,
who could have seen that coming?
Dude, as soon as she was kidnapped, as soon as I saw her, I was like, okay, she's gonna be in this role. And then as soon as she defected from the bad guys, I literally turned to you and I'm like, how long do you give her until she dies?
And I said about 5 minutes, because this movie's got 10 minutes left.
And then her and the hero hit it off, and like, he gives her a white rose. And it's all like, oh, white roses don't grow on my planet because my planet's all destroyed and shit. And oh, it's so beautiful. And then the bad guys take her hostage, and I'm like, oh no, there's a pit of lava there. You can't introduce a pit of lava without somebody falling into it. She's gonna get pushed into the lava.
But no, she's the active party in the lava pit.
Which, like, good on her for agency, I guess. It kind of shook me. Not gonna lie, like, I knew she was dead. But she pulled him into the lava, and I was like, movie, how dare you? You did not earn that.
I am so shocked that this has, like, rocked you to your core, because I saw it a mile away.
I did too! I saw it a mile away, and I was still like, how dare you? You don't get to treat women that way, movie!
Of course it does, because it's a really bad, dumb movie.
I know, but it's still... I think it's just because the whole movie was so bad. To treat the female character this bad, it was just like... It was like the final straw for these films that all kill off these hot bad guy women. And like, that is their redemption arc. Is that they kill themselves for the main character. And I was just like, that's it! This movie in particular is getting it. And by getting it, I mean I am angry.
Anyways, the three main children have received special bracelets, and they call down the elements themselves, and they destroy the Doomsday device. And then the movie just ends. Like, literally, there's destruction, and then you have a shot of them out on the beach, and it goes, the end. And I'm like, what?
I literally don't remember this. I was still so upset about the girl.
Yeah, I mean, like, the girl died. The main character goes, no.
No.
Call down the elements!
Isn't there
The
another
end.
shot of a white rose? I think there is.
There was like 7 shots of a white rose going into like 3 different locations that came from
'cause
her
it was
head.
Oh, God.
She had like the rose in her hair,
Right.
and then like it fell to the ground, and then it fell in the lava, and then the main character picked it up off the ground, and then it fell in the lava again. And I'm like, because this movie's so poorly made, there's no consistency of where items are at any time.
Can we talk about the exposure?
Okay, yes. The movie's over. Let's talk about weird shit about the movie itself.
I forgot about this. Like,
A third of the scenes in this movie are exposed wrong, and they're dark as hell, and you can't see shit. It's like people kept flicking the light switch on and off in the movie or something.
also, there's missing frames.
Oh, yes, there's multiple points where there's missing frames, and they just had like a piece of paper slapped in there, and it's something written in South Korean, probably saying, missing shot, put frame here. And then they never did. So you just have like 2 or 3 points in the movie where there's just a whump in the middle of everything else going on.
Yeah. Yeah, there was like at least 3 or 4 of those.
Okay, so this movie was a great laugh.
Uh-huh.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
It was just really bad. But I will say, the animation is slightly better and more competent
Then what?
than the last movie by the same studio.
Okay, I was
The
gonna
last
say,
South Korean movie that we saw, this is slightly better.
if you dare compare the animation in this is better to anything we've watched this year, I'm going to have questions.
Oh, absolutely not. No. I'm just
This
comparing
was-
it to the last South Korean movie we watched, which
Like, this
it
was-
is slightly better than that.
Pretty rough.
Oh, God.
So anyway, yeah, this was done by the exact same dubbing team that did Johnny Destiny. In the 1980s, 1990s, a Hong Kong producer, Joseph Lai, bought the rights to a lot of these South Korean films to specifically dub them to bank off of the success of things like Transformers, which we haven't talked about yet on Animation Pilgrimage.
Because it hasn't come out yet.
It hasn't come out yet. We will be talking about it as soon as the show comes out. But yeah, that's this. If you translate the Korean title, it is more so accurate to call like the Cosmo Conqueror would be its name
Okay.
versus
Robot King.
Robot King. And
Why do we want to roll the R there? Why do we want to say Robot King?
Robot King? Because it just sounds more punchy.
It's like, go, Robot King. No, Robot King.
Robot King.
Be reasonable. Also, I'm sure people have seen, but like, this is a design flaw of the original robot in the original anime it was ripped from, but this robot just looks so nonplussed all the time. It's just kind of like, yeah, I guess I'm doing this, because it's got the dopiest cartoon eyes I've ever seen on a giant robot.
Honestly, there was a lot of this movie where instead of paying attention to the movie, I was just kind of chatting with you. Because, you know, it's one of those films. And I was picturing a robot Sentai team. That's what you call this, right?
Yeah, a Super Sentai team.
Super Sentai team that'll pilot a giant robot. Where the robot is also part of the team and sentient, but is just like either stoned out of his mind or like just does not care and does not want to be a part of this. But the team is like, no, you have to do it. And it's just because of the way this robot is designed to like look like, huh?
Yeah, I guess I'm punching you or something.
I also want to say, I want to talk about this here right now, because I don't know, we'll probably get another chance to talk about this, but I've never been super into this genre, like, or like this, because you told me specifically this is not like a Gundam. Gundam
No.
is when it's
No,
like a single pilot.
When you were like, I'm not a big fan of Gundam shows, and then immediately started talking about a Voltron show, where it's like a group team that pilots one robot together. And like, that's not Gundam. Gundam is one person per robot, and Gundam is a lot more serious and like telling war stories and shit. Mm-hmm. It's less of a monster of the week type thing where like you were talking about a Sentai team.
Yeah.
You're like, which 50% of the time they have robots, 50% of the time they don't.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I was like, and I can get into something like Transformers as well, because like the giant robot is the character. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, yeah, like that I get. But a lot of times with these like Sentai teams, you spend so much time just like, oh, look how cool the robot is, and like the robot isn't a character. The robot is just like a big weapon. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I can't get invested in a story that's like, look at the big weapon. Isn't the big weapon cool? And I'm like, cool, but like, don't we have a cast of characters? Why aren't we spending time with them?
Tennille.
Why aren't they like, why isn't this like the thing that we're focusing on?
Tennille, why do you think there are so many car movies?
I don't know.
Because people like cars. Why do you think there are giant robot movies, Daniil?
They're inanimate objects.
Because
I don't
people
care.
like robots.
Give me characters.
Well, yes, I'm saying the reason these get made is because people don't like characters and like objects instead.
But if you could have the character, like if the object could have character, why wouldn't you put it there? Like, why not? Why not have both? You can have both. You can have cool giant robot and a cool team dynamic going on. Like, I don't see how these things conflict, but apparently they do, because all the teams in these team robot movies are dry as dirt.
They're all the same.
They suck.
Yep. I'm sure we'll talk about that more next time on Animation Pilgrimage, because we are done with all the films for the year. So next episode we're going to be talking about shows and shorts and TV specials and anything else that doesn't count as a film on our here on Animation Pilgrimage. We'll be talking about all of that next time, which includes at least one Super Sentai team anime.
You might know which one it is.
You might know. So join us back here next time as we talk about that more, I'm sure.
Yeah.
See you then.
Bye-bye.